Everyone, it's Emily Fox. Today's video is going to be my May TBR with a twist. I'm going to do a challenge throughout the whole month of May, which is going to be a little similar to my 1 week, 1 shelf challenge I like to do every year during the month of February, where I read the books from a specific shelf that I pick from a jar. But we're doing it differently because, again, we need to reorganizing my shelf. I've been getting comments. I know, they're disastrous. It's been weeks, months. It's finally here. I'm not only reorganizing them, but at the top of each shelf, which all my shelves are divided by genre, by the way, at the top, I will have one shelf per bookshelf that will contain books that I either don't think I'm gonna like and I just need to try them and get rid of them, or some that I keep forgetting are on my shelf, which happens way too much, or just some that I really, really want to read. And I'm gonna write all of these on a paper, put them in a jar, and that's what I will be reading. So considering that I have 7 bookshelves and 4 weeks during the month of May, it means that I'm going to go through half of my shelves, which is going to be quite different from what I usually do. Usually there's like, I don't know, 30 something shelves. So I'm really excited. I feel like this is going to be fun, hopefully, maybe a little stressful, but it's okay. I think that that's something that I need to do. I feel like this year I've been more and more in the mood to just declutter in general, and that needs to happen desperately. So let's get to it. So you can see in the overview, things are looking very chaotic. To be fair, I have been putting the books sideways just to put them where I think they should be going. So that's part of the reason, but let's be honest, that's also not the only reason. So you can see my shelves are divided by genre. So on the left, you have my 2 fantasy. In the middle, you have the 2 sci-fi. Bookcase number 5 is mystery, thriller, horror. 6 is a bit of a mix. We have technically my contemporary, romance, literary fiction, historical fiction, middle grade books. It's all a mess, and we just accepted that that's the vibe. But the top part plus bookshelf number 7 top part is nonfiction, which we need to fix that. It's a little bit all over the place. And then at the bottom of shelf number 7, we have my classics, and under that you have my unhaul. We're just going to ignore that. So that's what we're working with. And I need to not only empty the top shelf for all of them so we can put my TBR, but I also need to just reorganize and decide what's going to happen with the rest. So let's get to it. So currently my fantasy books have been organized by vibes. That's what I've been saying, but it's time to admit that it's mostly by gender. And it just happened slowly over time because I was joking that I couldn't put Brent Weeks next to N.K. Jemisin. It didn't seem right. It just seemed rude. So I just realized that over time I was doing this. It's partially also the ones that I've had for quite a bit of time, and then the more recent ones. I feel like I've been finally buying more fantasy and I read them right away, and then the other ones just stay on my shelves quite a bit. So I feel like on the left, it's mostly going to be books that I need to try and get rid of. And then on the right, it's going to be books that I'm really looking forward to. I think that's going to give us different vibes depending on which shelf I end up picking from the jar. So if I pick number 1, it's going to be a mess. Probably like books you think I'm going to hate, and I give them a shot before I finally move on with my life. But there are a few actually that are part of series that I used to see quite a bit on list of like, oh, must read fantasy books. So I might get to those during that time depending on how I'm feeling, because I'm a little bit of a mood reader. I didn't think so before all these challenges, but I know better now. And then, like I said, on the right, it's going to mostly be books I'm looking forward to, some of them older. Okay, so those are the ones that I'm hoping I'm going to like, or that have been on my shelf for forever, and I have the whole trilogy, so I need to start. And then the ones that I think I'm going to hate, or you think I'm going to hate. There are more, but those are kind of the ones that represented that the most. And then for the second shelf, those are the ones that I want to read or I need to continue because it's been years. And then this one represent all the YA ones that have been on my shelf for forever. So if I decide to go that route, I will go at the bottom and go through a lot of them because, oh, there you go. There's a bunch right here that like, I just, not the Terry Pratchett, but like a lot of them have been on my shelf for forever and they need to go. So I need to have enough space for all of them. And that's the representation of all of that. My fantasy are looking a little better. You can see there's room for growth, but really we need to declutter, not grow right now. So there's that. Now, oh, sci-fi. With sci-fi, once again, we have 2 bookshelves, and once again, similar vibes-ish, less divided by genre, more divided by when did I buy them? Again, when I first started reading more and watching Booktube, I bought most of my books used, which I still do. But I used to get a lot of like classic and really popular books. And unfortunately, especially for sci-fi, I've noticed that it tend to not have aged well. And there's only so much misogyny, homophobia, racism I can take. I feel like I used to try and focus on the concepts. I can no longer do that if I'm being honest with myself. So I probably need to also do a cutthroat decluttering here. So we kind of inverse things. On the left is mostly books that I really enjoy. I've read quite a few on there. And then on the right, it's everything else. So we're gonna do the same thing. So number 3 is gonna be books that I'm really looking forward to. And then bookshelf number 4 at the top, we're gonna put all the books that have been on my shelf either for way too long or that I think I'm gonna hate and I probably should just try them and get rid of them. That way, if I pick that shelf, I can choose how I'm feeling, but I probably should do a declutter eventually. If you see anything actually on any of these shelves that you think I'm gonna hate, please let me know, because I do think I'm gonna do a second part to reading books you think I'm gonna hate, because I think it's funny. In the moment, it's frustrating. I got so into it the first time, but I did get rid of 3 books that I ended up hating. You were right. So obviously didn't buy them hoping I would hate them, but life happened. So that's what's gonna be happening for sci-fi. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not sure I like the way it turned out. I don't know. I don't find it aesthetically pleasing, but it is the way it is for now. These are mostly like favorites, and then a bit more over here. These, a lot of them are YA that I probably should, but it is what it is. And these are the ones I will be reading, unless you want me to add any. This is for the left side. And the right side, turns out I have quite a few that I do want to try. So some of them I've been told are weird, but I want to try them. And then this represents if I decide to do a decluttering, because check what's on there. Let me know if there's anything you think I'm gonna hate. And I might, ooh, this, I need to, give me a second. So yeah, this is how it's looking. So not amazing, but they're somewhat organized enough for the challenge. And bookcase number 5, mystery thriller horror. It might not look like this right now, but I feel like I don't buy a ton of them. I feel like you go to used bookstores and there are so many, and I just get overwhelmed every time and I don't pick those up. So I tend to get them from the library, because over time I've realized that the new popular ones that I see everywhere, I end up hating them. I feel like domestic thrillers were all the hype and I just hated them, and I kept trying them because everyone seemed to love them and I wanted to love them. And I've accumulated too many, so we need to declutter these shelves a little bit. But I also have a full shelf, once again, of favorites, so I definitely do like the genre. I feel like I'm just very picky. Maybe I have different taste than the popular ones. Either way, I've realized that the ones that have sci-fi elements do tend to work for me better. So I don't know what to put on that shelf, to be honest, the top one. So I decided to go for... Okay, so this is what we have for the ones that I think I will enjoy or will be readable. And this one represent if I decide to do a decluttering, because I think it's my last one by the author and it's been very hit and miss. These ones I've enjoyed, this one I haven't. So this is one of the last ones that are unread by him. And this is what everything else look. Once again, I don't like the way it looks. I'm not good at this whole aesthetic thing. But I have an empty shelf because I got rid of quite a few, which you'll see in future unhaul. This is where things get a little messy, because I have too many books for the amount of shelves that I have, considering that I need empty ones at the top. So we're going to move all the nonfiction to bookcase number 7 and try to just shove everything else for now. Just for now. On bookshelf number 6. So we're going to have my classics at the bottom. Quite frankly, I don't know how many are going to end up at the top shelf right now. We're going to see. And afterwards, we're going to try to include all my contemporary romance, historical fiction, literary fiction, all that stuff in the remaining shelves. It's going to be a little tight, okay? But that's okay. That's okay. I have been enjoying these genres a lot more. I feel like I used to not hate them, but I was kind of over them a little bit. I used to read them a lot as a teenager, for example, and I had moved on, but we are back and I am enjoying myself. So I might end up having to pick a couple if I end up picking that shelf from the jar. Okay, this one is even worse than the other ones. But we have an empty shelf. This one is almost empty. And these are the books that I might be reading that week. These are the ones represent me decluttering, because there are definitely quite a few YA ones at the bottom that I could declutter, but we also have some that have been on my shelf for way too long, or some that might be a bit more fun. And then I would like to read another book by the same author as I Who Have Never Known Men, but they're only in French, so I won't really be able to recommend them to everyone, but they're there. So I just realized that I was supposed to move my classic over there, so let's do that. I do think I could probably declutter some of the ones that I bought a couple years ago. We'll see what happens, and if I end up picking that number from the jar, then I might have to do just that. Okay, so I moved them. I don't like it, but it is what it is. And I added 2 classics that I could could read. So let's finish with nonfiction. And then last but not least, bookcase number 7. We need to keep the bottom shelf for my unhaul books, the ones that I need to get rid of. I probably should include a couple. I don't feel like I'm gonna get rid of that many nonfiction because I used to not buy that many because, again, I like to buy most of my books used, and finding nonfiction used almost impossible, and the ones that I ended up buying full price I'm definitely hoping I'm gonna love. So right now I'm mostly going to reorganize them, hoping that they can actually look nice, and I'm gonna try to pick a couple that I've been meaning to read for way too long. It has been a challenge for the last 3 years, like officially, to try to read more, and the first year I did so well, last year I did okay, and I feel like I'm doing extremely poorly right now, so maybe I should pick that shelf from the jar. But I feel like binge reading nonfiction never goes well for me, so who knows, maybe putting them like that, maybe I'll keep that set up for a little while. It will remind me of which ones are on my TBR, which ones I want to read ASAP, and maybe will help. Maybe. And this is where we're at. We're ignoring this, obviously. Still not sure how I feel about this, but if there's anything else you think I should add, let me know, but this is what we're gonna work with. Just a few. So I'm filming this before I finish everything, so don't mind the background, pretend it's not there. I'm gonna reorganize these ones to put the ones that are on my current TBR for the month of April, and the ones I have been reading just for now, for the last week-ish that I have left. And I'm gonna write down the numbers 1 to 7 and put them in a jar for May. I'm excited. I feel like this should be fun. In theory, that sounds fun. Hopefully you think that's fun, because a lot of you do enjoy the 1 week, 1 shelf. So we're doing it 1 week, 1 shelf, but like special TBR edition. Maybe that's going to be the title, or unhaul edition, or declutter edition. I don't know yet. It will be in a title. I'll have decided at that point. I'm really hoping that that can help me just make more decisions and either focus on books that I will really love, hopefully, and the ones that need to go, depending on my mood. I'm looking forward to your feedback in the comment section, and thumbs up, subscribe as always. I'll put more videos on the screen that I recommend you check out, and I will see you in my next video.